inspiring group leaders at the university who brought us all together with this conference, have a brainstorming, hoping that we will achieve to some extent so many basic points for the sake of the graduates of the Faculty of Commerce to upgrade the university, to maintain the weakness point that we might be having nowadays in our program, the university program. All together would be for the benefits of our lovely country. So I really appreciate your effort. I really appreciate all who have been doing it for the sake of the students and for the sake of our country. This session, the main title of the session is Reactions, Perspective, Internationalization of the Egyptian Organization. So we will be having a few examples of how and why internationalization could help lots of projects in. We will take what the bank is doing and what MCTR, for another example, is doing for the sake of internationalization. Today with me, I have Mrs. Ray. She is the executive manager at corporate communication and export and import bank, export development bank of Egypt. This is the program with English. So soon I will change the language that allow me to use the Arabic language. Simply because this discussion and the brainstorming is for the sake of all of us. So allow me, sorry to say that, but allow me that I will turn into Arabic for to make it much easier for me. My English is not that to do. This is Rada, the joint bank, quite recently, but she's been working in the financial banking sector since 1991. So we are talking about 27 years and experts in the banking sector. Currently, she is in the development bank, and let us start by having a small presentation from here that will give us the story of the bank and how it is held in terms of internationalization. Thank you, Mr. Adam. Thank you.
أنا عايزة أشكر والكتاب والحضور كلهم على إتاحة الفرصة دي إن أنا أكون في الجامعة في هذا الجامعة الجميل. وأنا الحقيقة بمثل البنك بالنيابة عن دكتور أحمد جلال نائب رئيس مجلس إدارة البنك. يعني النهارده للأسف ما قدرش يكون معاكم، فيا رب يعني أقدر بس أديكم نبذة بسيطة على البنك ودوره في internationalization of business organizations. البنك المصري لتنمية الصادرات the Export Development Bank of Egypt (EDB) was established in 1983 2023 as a joint stock company under the law 95, and it has commenced its commercial operations in 1985. Its main aim is to develop Egypt's experts by supporting Egyptian exporters and facilitating the introduction of Egyptian products in the international markets worldwide. Let me just add one small comment that Egypt in general has been internationalization in the business way back since the Pharaoh's time, and our logo even is the ship, the commercial ships of the pharaohs since the time of Queen Hatshepsut, who used to conduct the commercial export and import trips to Africa. And I think this bank is a sort of, it's doing some business continuity since our late grandparents. The EBE authorized capital is amounts to Egyptian pounds 5 billion, and the issued and paid up capital amounts to 2.7 million Egyptian pounds. Billion Egyptian pounds, I'm sorry. Total shareholders' equity as of last year amounts to 3.3 billion Egyptian pounds. And the bank has a different and unique ownership structure combining both public and private sector ownership. The public shareholding amounts to 75% of the bank's shares, divided between National Investment Bank, Bank Misr, and National Bank of Egypt. The remaining 25% of the shareholdings are owned by the private sector and are traded in the Egyptian stock exchange market. I'll talk a little bit about the bank's strategy concerning export activities, which coincides with the government strategy to develop Egyptian exports to reach $40 billion by 2020. And it is set to focus on expanding its export sector by providing the necessary funding, requirements, and other banking services, as expanding the branch network of the bank to cover all regions in Egypt. We are currently 32 branches and covering the geographic locations serving industrial zones in all the region, Upper and Lower Alexandria, Suez Canal region. The number of branches is expected by end of 2018 to be 37, including the new head office in New Cairo, Fifth Settlement, which is going to be officially opened very soon. The bank also works on assessing, granting, and extending necessary finance and banking services to the customers at competitive market rates. It's also building and establishing strong correspondent relationships to support the trade finance needs. And this is one of the main crucial items coinciding with the topic of our respective conference. The bank as well provides country limits to target exports market in Africa, being one of the promising target export markets to the Egyptian community. It targeted Eastern and Western African countries the past few years, including Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and South Africa. Providing direct technical support to exporters as well as timely, efficient banking services. Actually, I'm proud, although I joined this institution only for 2 months, but most of the staff I have, or almost all the staff I have met with, are highly experienced, and they have this urge and motivation to do something good for their institution and for the country. The bank's new management worked and launched a new strategy for the bank for the coming 5 years, covering from 2017 to 2022, aiming to improve the competitive position of the bank and to increase its market share. It's not a big secret that the financial sector and the banking sector, the banking sector is one of the main sectors that actually kept this country going on through the difficult times during the past few years. And the Export Development Bank of Egypt is one of the banks who is currently adopting this idea of internationalization of business and of presenting full-fledged banking services, both on the corporate and retail banking side. The new strategy focuses on the internal growth by increasing both the volume and activity of the bank, as well as on expanding its branch network, as I just previously pointed out. It's restoring the bank's strategic role in supporting the state's direction to maximize the volume of Egyptian exports and helping exporters to open new markets. This is done by opening up opportunities through the protocols the bank have signed with various international organizations I'm going to come to later on. EB strongly believes in building its human assets. Thus, the bank focuses on choosing strong calibers, providing trainings. This coincides actually with the state's tendency to reduce the unemployment rate. What I have learned from my colleagues that the number of employees have increased with about, I think, 15% from last year. The bank's strategy focuses as well on managing the political and economic risks, both on the external and internal levels. Retail banking, as well as I just pointed out, is currently being strongly supported by the current strategy in order to provide all customers with full-fledged banking services. A few years ago, the bank was perceived in the market as mainly a corporate bank. Right now, we are providing retail banking services as well, so as to help all our different segments in the Egyptian society. Last but not least, the bank works with a keen interest in modern technologies to raise the efficiency of the banking transactions according to the highest international standards. And we are currently developing a new digital infrastructure because this is the future, and it's actually it's our current time as well, not only the future. We are applying new innovations to our website. It's going to be launched as well as the digital infrastructure by expected the second half of this year, Q3 and Q4 this year. I'm just going to go through quickly a glimpse about the business lines and activities of the bank, the corporate banking and loan syndication activities. The EBE provides diversified financial services to the corporate sector according to their financial requirements. Short-term facilities to finance working capital requirements and medium-term loans, structured trade and export finance, short and medium-term finance under ATP program at an interest rate range from 8 to 9.5 annually for the agriculture sector, agriculture reclamation and livestock. The medium-term loans at an interest of 2.5% annually under the framework of environmental commitment program to support corporates to cope with the environmental requirements, and foreign currency finance from the European Investment Bank, EIB, loan resources for working capital and capital expenditure requirements to be repaid in foreign currency. This is how the bank within the CBE framework defines the SMEs different categories. The small, the existing sales and annual revenue from Egyptian pounds 1 million to less than Egyptian pounds 50 million, and the medium from Egyptian pounds 50 million to Egyptian pounds 200 million. Small and medium-sized enterprises, the EBE SMEs division provides diversified financial services for the SMEs. And the coming era, I think we all believe, is the era for the small and medium enterprises. The short and medium-term finance at an interest of rate 5% under the CBE initiative to finance working capital requirements and capital expenditures for small initiative as well, at an interest rate of 7% annually for medium enterprises in the industrial, agricultural, and renewable energy sectors to finance the purchase of machines and equipment. Short and medium-term finance under ATP program at an interest of 8 to 9.5. The medium-term loans, sorry, this is duplicated. Well, coming to the international correspondent banking network, EBE has an extended network of correspondents all over the world, covering over 100 relationships in more than 40 countries. Through this network, EBE helps exporters penetrate and explore existing and new export markets, along with good mitigation procedures for both payment and political risks. Trade finance activities with correspondents banks include confirmation, discounting, and collection services. The EBE provides a wide range of banking services that contribute to support its clients' requirements through the following for trade finance operations: financing all export operations before and after shipment, export contracts, export documentary credits, shipping documents, and copies of shipping documents, adding confirmation to documentary credits through a diverse and distinct network of correspondents. Discounting the value of shipping documents at an appropriate interest rate, discounting checks and bills, providing direct technical support to the exporters in the preparation of shipping documents and the implementation of contracts and agreements, timely and accurate execution of banking services for all trade finance operations and activities. The creditor, the EBE is a major shareholder in ECGE, the Export Credit Guarantee Company of Egypt, which was established in 1992, holding 70.5% of the company's shares. The company is independently run from EBE, but it complements to EBE's exporters' requirements for insurance. The company provides political and commercial risk insurance to Egyptian exporters and also provides exporters with credit insurance, factoring credit information, and debt collection securities. The latest protocols that were signed by the EBE, which is going in line with our conference, the bank signed a protocol with African Bank in order to support Egyptian exports to Africa. And right now, the bank actually is sending delegates from the bank accompanying young exporters to various African countries in order to open new markets for the Egyptian trade activities. EBE signed as well a protocol with the European Investment Bank in order to facilitate Egyptian export activities and open new markets for the Egyptian products in Europe. The bank signed as well a protocol with the Export Development Fund, allowing the bank to finance exporters against their dues in the fund. Last but not least, the bank signed as well a protocol with the SMEs Union Association to promote and support SME business. My last slide is something concerning the community services done by Export Development Bank of Egypt. The bank actually strongly believes in the community development, and we are one of the banks who have a strong vision in this regard. They have a clear CSR strategy focusing on the support of both the education and health being the main arms needed to develop the society. And the bank has been acknowledged for its outstanding activities through partnering with one of the NGOs in sponsoring the development of schools in Luxor and Upper Egypt, starting from developing the schools up to furnishing and up to the providing the education material and even the outwear of the kids. The EBE provides continuous support to the health sector, as for various charity hospitals like the Cancer Hospital, like the Burns Hospital, for other university hospitals in Upper Egypt, and we have a lot of more CSR activities in the pipeline. Thank you, and I hope it was not very long.
شكرا على الشركة وضعنا فيها معلش بقى ملف عربي وضعنا فيها دور البنك في تسهيل عمليه الانترناشوناليزيشن للشركات في السوق المصري. فانا بشكركم على البرزنتيشن. طبعا احد المؤسسات اللي انشئت منذ سنه 1983 عشان نبتدي نساعد كل الجهات الموجوده في المؤسسات الموجوده في جمهوريه مصر العربيه انها تخرج للسوق العالمي وتبتدي تتداول في الخارج، كان انشاء البنك لتنميه الصادرات. فاعتقد ان البنك خلال الفتره اللي فاتت الناس الاولى ما حققش الغرض منه النسبه المطلوبه، وحقق الغرض لكن ليس بالنسبه. احنا عملنا في البنك ده انه يعمل كتير قوي لمجال الصادرات، بس البنك يحفر في الصخر زي ما كليه التجاره تحفر في الصخر. ليه؟ لان في لا تزال معوقات كثيره جدا بتواجهنا كجهات اعمال ومؤسسات في الدوله محتاجين ان احنا نتعامل معاها. انا عرفت بالتوبيك بتاع السيشن اللي انا هتكلم فيه النهارده من 3 ايام بس. استطرق بالقول على الرغم من ان انا عندي مجموعه من الظروف اللي واخده ذهني وشغله ذهني كثيرا، الا اني فكرت كتير قوي وانا مطلوب اقول ايه في السيشن ده. لان حسيت باهميه السيشن. وبدات افكر طب لو انا قرأ في بالي اساسه كليه التجاره. قرأ في بالي 15 سنه في كليه التجاره ما اقدرش انساه. ثم قرأ في بالي في قطاع شركه وقطاع الشركات 15 سنه تقريبا زيهم. فانا عندي شخصيتين. بفكر كاستاذ جامعه وبفكر فيه كراجل في السوق. كل ما افكر وذهني ياخدني في قطاع او في اتجاه معين اكتشف ان انا وصلت في الاخر المشكله هي بتاعتي. كل ما اروح لاتجاه اخر وابتدي افكر فيه افاجئ ان انا وصلت لان الاساس هو بتاعتي. لان انا لو قلت على سبيل المثال هو ليه بنك تنميه الصادرات الصادر؟ لان الشركات الموجوده واللي بتنتج في مصر ما عندهاش القدره والسيلف كونفدنس انها تروح تصدر منتجاتها للخارج وتمتد بيها للخارج. طيب محتاجين ايه؟ محتاجين يتعلموا ازاي عنده داخليا الفكر والفيجن بتاع انه يتطور. اثناء دراستي للدكتوراه في انجلترا كان في مثل لطيف جدا سمعته من معهد رجال التأمين هناك، كان بيقول لك every bird trying to feather its nest. كل طائر بيحاول يوسع العش بتاعه. إذا أول حاجة في خلق الله بالنسبة للطائر إن هو بعد ما يبتدي يحط النست بتاعه هو قاعد طول النهار لو لاحظنا عمال يعدل دي يمين ويعدل دي شمال عشان يحاول يوسع العش بتاعه. ده على مستوى الطائر. على مستوى الشركة في أحد الكتب اللي قريتها في التسعينيات كنا بنقول بالنسبة للمؤسسات هو حضرتك لما جيت كده في يوم ما وقررت انك تعمل مصنع او شركه او تقدر فورم اللي انت هتستخدمه. دخلت في مجموعه من الاجراءات الطويله اللي توصلك انك خلال 3 اشهر يبقى عندك شركه او مصنع. بعد ال3 اشهر دول هتاخد سنه بتنشئ المصنع بتاعك وبتجهزه للانتاج. اخدت ال3 اشهر الاولانيين وخلصت الاوراق بتاعتك، خدت السنه وبدات تلف. ثاني يوم ما خلصت الانتاج تعمل عندك مجلس اداره بيحط استراتيجيه، عندك اداره تنفيذيه بيحط الاستراتيجيه بتاعتك. لما قعدوا مع بعض في ال3 اشهر الاولى قلتوا ازاي بتخلص الورق وازاي تكون راس المال وكده. في السنه اللي بعديها مراحل تنفيذ الخطوه الثانيه. الخطوه الثانيه انا على طول لازم اللي كنا بنقوله او كان الكتاب بيقوله من اللي انا اتعلمته في التسعينيات بيقول ان الخطوه الثانيه ازاي احط بلان لاني اكبر، وازاي احط بلان لل10 سنين الجايه اني اتوسع. سقف طموحك فين؟ البلانز دي محتاجه educational بلان عشان احط بلان همشي عليها وهبقى ذا ليدر. كنت اتعلمت ازاي ابقى ليدر، لازم احط الخطوات اللي المشروع ده هيمشي عليها سواء كنت انا موجود او مش موجود. فلما حطيت البلان واتعلمت ازاي احط بلان وقلت هطلع اروح فين. طيب عشان اخرج للخارج وابتدي يبقى عندي الطموح بتاعي ان انا اصدر المنتج بتاعي خارج جمهوريه مصر العربيه. يبقى نمره واحد هبتدي افكر في الكواليتي. الكواليتي محتاجه نوع معين من الاديوكيشن، لان انا ممكن انتج اي برودكت بس عشان اصدره لاوروبا وامريكا في معايير معينه. عشان كده انا برجع دايما لدور التعليم في ان هو يساعدنا ان احنا نحط الكلام ده بالنسبه لاولادنا. عشان كده انا في الكومنتس بتاعتي على جاكوب شكرته جدا، لانه ادانا مثال حي عن ان انا لو هسوق المعلومه واقدم المعلومه للطالب دايركت من غير ما اخليه يفكر مش هخليه يفهم. عشان كده هو قبل لنا المحاضره، وعشان كده انا عجبت جدا في المحاضره بتاعته انه قبل لنا المحاضره قرر اذا كنا مستنيين حد يجي لنا من بره او من الداخل يقول لنا 1 2 3 هي دي الخطوات لكل واحد عشان تبقى جديده، وهي دي الخطوات عشان تبقى انترناشونالايزد وعشان تبقى وورلد وايد، يبقى كده. انما الاساس في ذلك ان انا علمته نمره واحد continuity of education، استمراريه التعليم. طب اعلمه استمراريه التعليم ازاي؟ يبقى هو لازم يقرا، هو لازم يبحث، هو لازم يدور. فاذا وجد داخله هذا النمط هنوصله الى هو لما يتخرج ولما يبتدي يمسك عمل هيبقى عنده الانوفيشن اللي اتزرع جواه هيبتدي يمشي. ده اسمحوا لي طبعا بفرق عن الاستاذ. انتقل بقى واتكلم على شركه مصر المقاصه قليلا، لان شركه مصر المقاصه هي احد الامثله اللي ايضا زيها زي لجنه تنميه الصادرات بتحاول تخطف الصخره في انها في مجال الانترناشوناليزيشن. طب ازاي انا بحاول؟ انا بعمل لينك ما بين جمهوريه مصر العربيه كليرنج هاوس شركه المقاصه والمقاصات في الدول المختلفه. فاحنا مثلا عندنا لينك ما بيننا وبين سويس سويسرا، واحنا اي سهم في سويسرا يمكن ان يقيد في السوق المصري بحيث ان هو يتداول في السوق المصري، وكذلك اي سهم في مصر ممكن يروح سويسرا ويقيد في ذلك. عاملين هذا اللينك مع دبي، مع ابو ظبي، مع الكويت، مع لبنان، مع سويسرا، في برنامج GDR مع انجلترا وامريكا. معنى كده ان في شركات هنا مصريه بهذا اللينك اسهمها طلعت بره واستطاعت ان هي تتداول ويتملكها جزء من اسهمها في الخارج. عندنا 15 ورقه مسجله في GDR، عندنا 3 ورقات في دبي وابو ظبي، عندنا ورقه واحده في الكويت. اذا انا بدوري كشركه مقاصه وتسويه بحاول ان انا امد الطريق الواصل ما بيني وبين الدول الاخرى، وبقول للشركات تعالوا نمشوا على الطريق. ارجع تاني البس القبعه بتاعت استاذ الجامعه واسال يا ترى ممكن نعلم الاولاد ان لما يطلع ويعمل شركات صغيره قوي يبقى في الفكر بتاعه ان هو هيطلع يتداول اسهمه بره. يعني صور الانترناشوناليزيشن مش عايز احصرها في عمليه ان انا اروح ابيع المنتج بتاعي بره. لان الصوره بتاعت الانترناشوناليزيشن فيها اكثر من صوره. الصورة الأولانية إن أنا مصنعي هنا أو شركتي هنا زي ما بتقدم السلعة أو الخدمة أصدر السلعة أو الخدمة بتاعتي. الصورة الثانية إن أنا أعمل فرانشايز، إن أنا وأنا موجود هنا في مصر حد في دولة أخرى هو يدير المصنع بتاعه هناك برأس ماله هو هناك بس باسمي أنا. طب ده موجود عندنا في مصر؟ بس هتكون الشرطيون. بس هيقول الشرطيون بالمناسبة أنا اكتشفت من واقع عملي وأنا ليس لي علاقة بهذه الشركة على الإطلاق إنها بتحظى بثقة كل دول العالم. كنت متخيل إن أعلى نسبة تصدير سجاد بتطلع من إيران. اكتشفت إن 60% من سجاد العالم طالع من مصر من المسؤولين. وكنت في قمة سعادتي لما رحت في زيارة الدولة الغربية فخدونا ليزورونا أحد المصانع اللي افتخروا بيها جدا وهو مصنع سجاد. وفوجئت برئيس المصنع بيتكلم ويقول أنا المصنع بتاعي واخد الخبرة بتاعته واخد الفرنشايز بتاعه من المساكون الشرقيون في مصر وهو ده اللي رفع الكواليتي. طب هل المساكون الشرقيون تدخلنا الفراعنة وصلوا لنا؟ لا، الشركة هتنسى. ولكن ارجع تاني لنقطة أيمن الطموح. لو وضعت لنفسك حدود الطموح وفتحتها هتوصل في أي مجال وفي أي قطاع. بس تبقى عارف إن الانترناشوناليزيشن ليها قواعد. أحد القواعد الأساسية اللي هي الكواليتي أو بتاع المنتج أو الخدمة اللي حضرتك. ثاني قاعدة في ذلك هي المعرفة وقدرتك على المعرفة والتعلم. لأن احنا الكلمة اللي دايما بنقولها كلنا مقتنعين بيها ولكن في التطبيق بنختلف النسب. أنا النهارده إذا تساويت مع زميل ليا في دولة أخرى وقررت أقف مكاني عشان آخد نفسي بس هو مستمر في الرحلة بتاعته، إيه اللي حصل لي أنا؟ تأخرت. ما بقولش أنا تراجعت، أنا كل اللي عملته إن أنا هديت الخطوة أو ما وقفت عن الخطوات اللي الأمام. ينتج عن كده على طول إن أنا تراجعت مقارنة بيه. فلازم أكمل، وعشان أكمل لازم أكون منفتح على العالم وأكون قارئ جيد لكل ما يدور في العالم، لأن أنا لا يمكن أن أعزف خارج السيمفونية العالمية. العالم كله النهارده من خلال الموبايل، من خلال الإنترنت، ومن خلال الكوميونيكيشن، الثورة غير العادية اللي كله شايف بعض. لذلك تيجي نمرة 4 في النقاط الأساسية، النقطة اللي احنا دايما بنتمسك بيها سرية البيانات. وإن بياناتنا مش للإفصاح. وإن بياناتنا سرية جدا. سرية على وليه سرية؟ إذا كان العالم كله حاطط بياناته بيقول لك بره وطالع واتعلم مني، وعلى فكرة يقول لك لما بنشر الميزانية بتاعتي لو لقيت ليك كومنت ابعت لي، لأنه قد يكون الكومنت ده مفيد ليا. وأنا بنشر لك البيانات بتاعتي. مش كل البيانات، بس احنا كلمة سرية بنحاول نطبقها على كل حاجة. وبالتبعية السنتراليزيشن السرية اللي احنا بنحاول نخفي فيها بتؤثر سلبيا علينا جدا. هتوقف هنا عند الجزئية دي هديكم مثال أنا عشته وتجربة شخصية. تجربتي الشخصية بدأت مع شركة أنشأناها في سنة 2010 اللي هي شركة المحفظة اللي الدكتور علي زايد قال لي اتفضلوا يكسبوا. والدكتور علي زايد ما حضرش عشان اقول على فكرة ده السنة دي كسبنا الأهلي في الدوري أو الدور الأولاني، وكسبنا الزمالك، وكسبنا الإسماعيلي، وفي الدور الثاني كسبنا الزمالك بس. على تاني 3 نقط. حضرتك قال دخل الدوري، بس عايز اقول لكم على معلومه برضه عشان توري الطموح والفكر ممكن يودي فين. الاهلي على فكره لو شلنا ماتش المقصه من التاريخ بتاعه القريب 45 مباراه 20 مباراه قبل المقصه 19 بالظبط ماتش المقصه 20 ثم بعد ذلك الاهلي ب 45 مباراه دول ما نعرفش غير من مصر. انما ده مش موضوع. طيب فكره المقصه اللي انا بتكلم عليها دي احنا زي ما بنقول انشأناها واستلمنا الرخصه بتاعتها في ديسمبر سنه 2010. ده معناه ان الشركه بدات اللي هي تشتغل فعلي في يناير 2010. مش غلطتي تصور ان 15 بعد 25 يوم من بدايه عمل هذه الشركه. طيب عطينا راس المال، عطينا راس المال كويس 18 مليون جنيه في 16ابريل. مع السيزون الاول لهذه الشركه راس المال ثم بدات الشركه في فتره الخسائر. وطبعا اول يوم بقى الخسائر لان انا بصرف ومفيش عائد. واستمرينا 11 12 13 عندنا خسائر مستمرة. الى ان وصل حجم الخسائر بتاعتنا ما يقرب من 60 مليون جنيه. طبعا معنى كده ان من اول سنه بدات فيها هذه الشركه لازم اعلن افلاس. مش هو ده بس السبب الوحيد اللي كان يخليني ما اعلنش الافلاس، لا، والاثنين الاكزيكتيف اتفضلوا يشرفوا عندنا هنا في السجن شويه بحيث ان ايه يبقى لهم صح. انما احنا ما استسلمناش واستمرنا. ووصلنا للخسائر بتاعتنا 60 مليون. هم اللي انا بذكرها ان احنا ما اخفيناش ذلك عن الجمعيه العموميه. وما اخفيناش ذلك عن نشر القرار. لا، احنا كان عندنا ثقه بالنفس. احنا قلنا احنا ناجحين جدا. كانت الناس بتبص لنا واحنا بنقول احنا ناجحين جدا ويقولوا لنا دون حاجه واحده ناجحين فيها. الفرقه ما بتلعبش عشان الدوري واحد. فمش هتقدر تقول ناجح في الكوره. والشركه خسرت راس مالها وخسائرك كانت حاجه 40 فوق راس المال. ناجح ايه؟ تقول ناجح ان اخلي الشركه ما تتعصبش في هذه اللحظه. ناجح ان انا استلف واسدد ديون الشركه بالسنه. طيب شويه لما انتظمت الدنيا وعادت الحياه وعادت الايرادات غطينا كل هذه الخسائر. ويمكن اللي بنتابع الشركه من خلال ايه بقى؟ خلال ان احنا بقينا لعيبه في السوق المحلي، سيبنا مباريات فبقينا لينا وضع، بقينا بناخد من التلفزيون ثم بدأنا نطلع اللعيبه بتاعتنا تلعب بره مصر. ففي السنه الاولانيه طلع عندنا انا بوكو سافر بره، خدنا فيه لمده 6 اشهر حوالي 600,000 دولار، يعني حوالي 6 7 مليون جنيه. ثم طلعنا لعيب اخر للخليج بمبلغ 70 مليون جنيه. ونتج عن ذلك ان انا ما بقاش عندي خسائر. انا بقى عندي فلوس. ان انا بحقق طموحي ان انا يبقى عندي مال هنا. تعثرنا شويه بالنسبه للفرقه، ما قدرتش اجيب لعيبه، مش مشكله. لان انا بدي ده مثال لاي مشروع داخل في السوق هيقابله مطبات قد تكون مطبات صعبه جدا. ولكن اللي داخل ده اذا كان عنده العلم والقدره والثقه بالنفس ان هو يعدي الاوبستكلز اللي هتقابله هيستمر. اذا كان عنده الليدنج باور، القدره على القياده والتحدي والمواجهه. ذلك عشان كده انا اخترت كلمه سريه البيانات اللي احنا محتفظين بيها قوي وعدم النشر كاحد الاساسيات اللي انا ما بشوفهاش. ان انا دايما لما باجي اخد قرار في حاجه بحب قوي اشوف العالم بيعمل ايه عشان ما ارجعش اخترع العجله من الاول. تفتكروا اللي يخترع العجله كل مره ده هيعيش عمره كله بيدور على ازاي يخترع العجله، واذا في نهايه العمر ربنا وفقه هيخترع عجله اخترع من 50 سنه. انما اللي منفتح على العالم وبيشوف العالم بيحاول يعمل ايه وبياخد منه ويطبق عنه يشوف ايه اللي يفيده وايه اللي ما يفيدوش. طب عشان انفتح على العالم عايز ايه؟ عايز انفيشن، عايز استمراريه في القراءه، continuity. هناك مجموعه من القوانين في مصر بتتعدل واتعدلت. اتمنى ان القانون بتاعه يتعدل في الفتره الجايه عشان يواكب المنظومه التعديلات. من احد هذه التعديلات ما يخص سوق المال عندنا صدور قانون الاستثمار اللي قال ان كل الشركات اللي طالعه جديده تقيد في مصر الخاصه، ثم صدور تعديلات قانون 59 من الشركات اللي الزم كل الشركات خلال سنه او منهم شهرين قيدها وايداع اسهمها في شركه مصر الخاصه. طيب على طول احنا الناحيه الثانيه بنعمل معلومه كتير ما يعرفوهاش قوي كده محدش يعرف. اول ما بتيجي شركه عشان تقيد عندي انا بطلع لها حاجه اسمها الايزن. الايزن كودنج لهذه الشركه مكون من 13 ديجيت بدايته ايجي وبعد كده الكود بتاع الشركه. الخطوه الثانيه مباشره بطلع للشركه دي ما يسمى بالسي اف اي كود. السي ستاند فور كلاسيفيكيشن. فانا بعمل ده مش احنا مصر مقاصه عضو في منظمه عالميه اسمها العلمى اسوشيشن بروفيشنال نمبرنج ايجنسي. العلمى دي واخده الوضع القواعد بتاع عمل الاكواد بموافقه الايزو. الحمد لله انا عضو مجلس اداره في العلمى. فبنطلع على طول انا بتعمل ايه؟ بنطلع الايزو وده الكود، بنطلع سي اف اي وده عمليه كلاسيفيكيشن يعني الشركه دي تبع انهي قطاع من قطاعات الصناعه، اجريكلتشر او قطاع البروبرتيز او قطاع الفارماكولوجي والقطاعات كلها فبنعمل لها كلاسيفيكيشن. ثم بطلع الثالث اللي هو الاف ايزن الكود الثالث. الاف ايزن ده يعمل ايدنتيفيكيشن. لما بشوف الاف ايزن وبدخل عليه ببتدي اخد بيانات الشركه، البيانات المعلنه الاسم ومجلس الاداره وما الى ذلك. في الوقت الجاري احنا بنشتغل على ان احنا نطلع للشركات ال اي اللي هو ليجل ايدنتيفيكيشن نمبر، وده احد الاكواد اللي بتستخدم. طيب لما طلعت للشركه اللي بتقيد عندي هذه الاكواد، لو انا بطلعها لها فري مجاني واوتوماتيك على طول، باخد الاكواد دي وابعتها للعلمى. العلمى بتاخد الاكواد دي وتبيعها لرويتر وجلوبال. اذا القوانين بتاعتها خلت كل الشركات المصريه اساميها من خلال الايزن او السي اف اي او الاف ايزن موجوده على شاشات جلوبال، موجوده على شاشات رايتر. وده تسهيل كبير جدا للشركات، لان حضرتك النهارده لما تيجي تقول انا صاحب شركه اسمها كذا او الكود بتاعها كذا، المستثمرين بره والناس بره بتوجد لوجن بتقدر تتريس الكومباني. فانا بعمل لك دعايه واعلان مجاني على شاشات التداول لمين؟ للمستثمرين وللجهات الماليه غير المصرفيه والمصرفيه المختلفه والمتوازنه. اذا احنا بنحاول نعمل دورنا في تسهيل عمليه الانترناشوناليزيشن. بنك تنميه الصادرات مشكورا بيعمل دوره في عمل بروتوكولات مصريه تطلع وتنتشر. هذه الشركات على دور الشركات ما تقتنع انها يجي حد يقول لي انا المنتج بتاعي كويس وبحاول احسنه، بس لما اجي اقارنه بالمنتج الالماني، لا، المنتج الالماني بيكسب.
دلوقتي الديجيتال ميديا بتعمل انتشار رهيب جدا في العالم كله. فالاقتصاد المصري محتاج يشتغل شويه بعد الجوده، يشتغل على البراندنج ويشتغل على الكوميونيكيشن. بيدي البراند ايدنتي والبراند ايمج للمنتج بيساعد كتير جدا على ان المنتج ده يوصل بره. في بعض الشركات من شركات الاغذيه منتجاتها بتتباع في اوروبا وامريكا، شركات كتير، فهم اشتغلوا جامد قوي على البراند ايمج. براند ايمج مع الكواليتي بتفرق جامد جدا جدا من الارض اللي بتسهل موضوع التوفير والتواجد في الاسواق الخارجيه.
شاكر لحضرتك على الجمله دي، بس الجمله دي هتاخدني ارجع تاني. بص حضرتك، برضه لما كنا بنفكر في الخطوه التاليه على الجزء الثاني، يعني محتاج نتعلم ازاي يعمل ماركتنج لنفسه. وهو ده اللي انا بدات بيه، انا طبقت عليه. انما في كل نقطه احنا بنذكرها ارجع تاني محتاج يعمل ده. بالمناسبه انا اتعلمت ماركتنج في كليه التجاره على الاستاذ لكلية عليه رحمه الله دكتور بزار، وبسال نفسي دكتور بزار علمني الماركتنج عشان لما اشتغل في شركه اعرف اعمل للشركه دي براندنج ماركتنج ازاي. لما اشتغلت قطاع الماركتنج ازاي اعمل ماركتنج للسلعه والخدمه اللي انا فيها، بس ما علمنيش ازاي اعمل ماركتنج لنفسي. واعتقد ان احد النقاط اللي لازم تكون في المواضيع بتاعتنا لطالب كليه التجاره ازاي تعمل ماركتنج لنفسك. ويمكن احنا شفناها مره موجوده في جورجيا، ان الطالب بيدرس. انا ابني كان في لندن، خد اسبوعين كورس السيلبس بتاعه ازاي يكتب السي في بتاعه. السي في بتاعه هو الماركتنج بتاع الولد ده اللي بكره، يعني في ناس كتيره قوي انا واحد منهم بعد العمر ده كله لو قلت لي اكتب السي في بتاعي مش هيكتب صح. ده نوع من انواع الماركتنج اللي محتاجه السوق. انا اعتقد الوقت جري وانا اسف انا عايز الاسئله.
تأكيد أنا أردت أن أحييك على العرض المتميز والعرض الفلسفية الكبيرة بتاعتك مصر في التجارة. واسمح لي في الأول أبتدي باختلاف صغير مع حضرتك في عبارة كده في الحلقة دي. أنت حضرتك كنت بتتكلم على إنك في مصر محطة صفر عند الصرف وحضرتك بتتحكم في الصرف، ده دور الإدارة. ودليل إن ده دور الإدارة إنك أنت فتحت محطة الصرف لشركة مصر الصور وقدرت إن أنت تحولها من منشأة خاسرة إلى منشأة بتكسب فيها بوتنشال رهيب. صح، اتفق مع حضرتك تماما كل ما طرحته من تعليقاتك عن التعليم، الجزئيه الخاصه قالت ان انا ازاي اعود الولد شكل لينا، ازاي يبقى البرفورمانس بتاعه يبقى شكله مميز، بيقدر ان هو يقدم نفسه للناس ويسوق نفسه. واسمح لي برضك اقول لك ان مع النماذج اللي حضرتك طرحتها في النجاح انا عايز اقول لحضراتكم بالصدفه انا اعرف ان اكبر بلد في العالم تصدر البرتقال مصر. واكبر بلد بتنتج بلح مصر، انما ما بتصدرش بلح، اجي هنا ده تنميه صادرات. طيب وما بصدرش البلح بتاعي دي، وانا اكبر بلد في العالم ده في البلد. هنا لازم افكر برضك في اطار خارج السنه. انت عندك ولازم يبقى انا مش مجرد ان انا بحاول اعمل براند، بحاول ان انا اجيب منتج واسوقه. ده في التسويق وسيله التسويق، اعرفوا ازاي انا اقدر اسوق الفكره عند واحد مش محتاج، هو يبقى محتاج هو اللي صح. فانا عندي 3 حضانات للاعمال في مصر، انا بدخل منهم لجنتي كمان تمويل الصادرات، لان الانعام المحليه هو قمه العالميه. واي منتج يبقى محلي قوي ثقوا ان بيبقى البراند بتاعه عالميا قوي جدا. فاسمح لي انا عندي 3 حضانات اعمال في مصر مرفوعه حضرتك ويتنافس اللي كانوا مين كان بلد انتاج الحرير في مصر انتهت. حضرتك لو شفت المصانع هناك حاجه تبكي، في عندهم امكانيات وعندهم قوه عامله وعندهم بشر وعندهم اكثر مجتمع فقير بنسبه الفقر في السوهاج في لوكيتي. ما تفكري ازاي تطوري العمل هناك، والعمل بتاعهم ده بالتالي الصدري انهم صعب ممكن. عندك في النص الحضري كل ما تعمل من رصيد من منتجات يدويه مصريه ممعنه في المحليه ممكن تنميها على المستوى العالمي. عندك في الشمال هو اكبر مركز لصناعه السجاد والجليد في مصر، وكان بيصدر حتى الستينات كميات كبيره جدا انتهت. دول تبتدي ده تعملي مراكز حضانات لتنميه قدرات الناس على التسويق لنفسهم، والمنتج مصري له براند يسمح ليه انه يبقى عالمي، وتقدري توجدي ليكي مجموعه من العملاء الجداد اللي بره الصوره بتاعت حضرتك. طبعا مش عايز اقارن نفسي ببنك الفقراء اللي عمله محمد يونس في بنجلاديش وقدر يعمل ايه، انما الفكره طيبه. شكرا جزيلا بشكل منطقي.
وطبعا بشكر حضرتك جدا على تعليقات حضرتك. وهو اكشولي البنك المصري للتنميه هو البنك فعلا له يعني باع لحد ما في موضوع الفتره الاخيره في التصدير. كان مشترك قريب جدا في اللوجيستيك انواع بتاع المانيا بالنسبه لموضوع السجاد والخطوط الزراعيه والحاجات دي. يعني هو رايت ناو احنا في الوقت الحالي بندرس بروجكت كبير جدا لتمويل مشروع تعليمي في المجالين دول بالذات، بس لسه الدراسه ما اكتملتش عشان اقدر اتكلم عليها باستفاضه، مش هقدر اتكلم عليها باستفاضه. ففي حاليا دراسه فعلا يعني احنا شغالين عليها، مشروع صوب زراعيه او مشروع سجاد يدوي. فاحنا بندرس ده حاليا، وان شاء الله يعني طريق عادي جدا هنعلن عنه. بس انا توتالي اجري مع حضرتك، وهو ده الطريق بتاع الفتره الجايه. يمكن ده السبب اللي خلاني انا اي جوين البنك ده بالذات، ان انا شايفه ان الفيجن الفتره الجايه للتصدير. يعني يمكن السنين اللي فاتت اشتغلنا شويه مالتي ناشونالز واشتغلنا شويه برضه بنوك دوليه، بس يعني البنك فيه فيجن وفيه بوتنشال وفيه دريم ماشي مع الدريم بتاع البلد في الفتره الجايه. فالكلام ده حضرتك كله متماشي مع الفكر بتاع الاداره الحاليه للبنك ان شاء الله.
طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كان بداية الله تعالى التجارة. بطلع هذا الشيء طالب احنا عندنا تعليقات وعندنا سؤال. احنا محتاجين في مصر اعاده اختراع كثير من المسميات. الحقيقه لما نيجي نتكلم نقول تنميه صادرات، العالم كله دلوقتي بيتكلم عن التسويق الدولي، ما بيتكلمش عن صادرات. وبالتالي في اختلاف كبير جدا. ان انا لو قلت طبعا الانسان سمع بارقام يوم زي مثلا الصيف ولا اخره، انا ازاي اعمل الناس اللي بتشتغل تسويق دولي؟ ده دور من ادوار البنك الذي فيه مسابقه المسؤوليه الماليه انها تساهم في احداث نقله تفكير اعداد الشركات والمؤسسات. الدعم مش دعم مالي بس، انا عايز اعمل دعم فكري. لو انا اديتهم افكار التسويق الدولي اكيد هيبقى المنتج المصري في مكانه افضل بينقصنا كتير جدا بسبب عدم المعرفه. بينقصنا كتير جدا ان يتولى التصدير اللي احنا بنسميها مسمى محلي اللي احنا بنقوله في التسويق الدولي غير متخصصين بيكونوا مش مجالهم وبيشتغلوا فيه. اللي بينجح محليا بيعتقد ان هو هينجح دوليا، وده مش صحيح. احنا عايزين شخصيات مختلفه، انماط مختلفه من البشر هم اللي يتولوا مسؤوليه مساله التسويق الدولي على المستوى العالمي من اجل الوقوف قدام المنتج. مش زي ما الدكتور طارق قال في مثلا مساله الجوده، احنا عايزين برضه نو هاو وازاي نفهم معلومات عن كل الدول اللي احنا هنسافر لها، وايه الدول اللي المنتجات تصلح فيها والمنتجات ما تصلحش فيها. فهل إدارة البنك موفرة برامج تدريب أو برامج لتطوير قدرات الشركات المصرية سواء صناعية أو تجارية أو خدمية بحيث إنها تعدها لمسألة تحول مسألة التسويق الدولي أو حاجة ثانية عايز أضيف بس كلمة مهمة قوي بالنسبة للنجاحات. كل اللي خدوا التربية والدكتور طارق بينم على أهمية وجوده أكيد مسألة الإدارة. يعني حضرتك اتكلمت عن تجربة مصر الخاصه في مجال الرياضه، دي نجاح في مجال الاداره الرياضيه او التسويق الرياضي اللي اصبح دلوقتي بقى لغه مهمه وجديده. دخول الاداره كتير جدا من بين المجالات وتصحيح كل من يعمل في القيادات العليا بالفكر الاداري الحديث بقى مطلب مهم جدا. انا هضيف الراي العظيم ده للدكتور ان احنا هنضيف ما يسمى بدل ما بنعمل حاضنات للاعمال عايزين نعمل كمان حاضنات في القيادات. محتاجين نعمل رعايه للقادم علشان يقدر ان هم يقودوا في مؤسساتهم ويحققوا من خلالهم نجاحات. ده بيتطلب مننا في زي ما في كشاف كوره يبقى برضه في كشاف القاده الناجحين والبارعين في الشركات والمؤسسات ونعمل لهم نوع من انواع الاعداد والتاهيل الجيد عشان يقدروا ان هم يتحملوا مسؤوليه مؤسساتهم في المستقبل ويقودوا البلد الى الامام. لو احنا عرفنا ان عدد سكان في مصر 60% منهم شباب يبقى لازم القدر بتوع المستقبل دول يكونوا شباب مش قدر من الجيل القديم. احنا محتاجين ثوره اداريه كتير جدا من مناحي العمل في مصر، محتاجين تغيير كتير في المفاهيم. حتى الان انا النهارده كنت بقدم برزنتيشن الممتحن بيكلمني بيقول لي تنميه الموارد البشريه. اما تبحث في كلمه تنميه الموارد البشريه هتلاقي كلمه غير دقيقه بالرغم من الكلمه يقول لك انا خبراء في التنميه البشريه وانا كل ده فن محتاج تطوير. كلنا اذا لم نتجدد سوف نتبدل. كل واحد فينا مطلوب ان هو يطور من نفسه ويعرف حاجه من كل حاجه. ما ينفعش الانسان يكون اسير تخصص وحيد، لان اللي بيكون اسير تخصص وحيد بيتكلم لغه مهنه واحده، ولغه المهنه هي لغه الجاهل. وانا اتمنى ان البلد دي ما تبقاش فيها حد.
أنا هتفق مع حضرتك تماما وأسيب الدكتور على جزء من البنك. أنا متفق تماما مع حضرتك بتقوله. يعني في قيادات كتيرة يعني إن أنا أفصل شوية في هذا الجانب، إنما بحاول أغطي الأصول في جانب التدريب. أنا بحاول أقرأ حاجات شبه يوميا عن الاقتصاد العالمي بعض برامج تدريب، ولكن ليست كفايه واحده. الناس بتقول ان الانسان الموظف بصفه عامه ما عندوش ان الدوله محتاجه من 5 ل 10 ايام تدريب خلال السنه لحد ادنى. انا لغايه يومنا هذا بدور على البرامج اللي احضرها، بجد برامج وبعض منها احضره في مصر، بعض منها في مصر كانت بالامانه سنتين ورحت وحضرت البرنامج امتحنت وربنا وفقني فيها، وبعض منها بجد في الخارج بسافر مخصوص في التدريب في الخارج لان مفيش سن هيقف عنده التعليمه، وهو ده اللي انا بدور عليه ونفسي اشوفه في كل خريجينا ان هم هيتعلموا ازاي يتعلموا.
بشكر حضرتك جدا طبعا على حضرتك. هو مبدئيا بس في حاجه بقولها. هو البلد دي محتاجه مجال حاجه عشان نواكب تطور التعليم والثقافه. الثقافه لا تقل اهميه عن ولازم الانسان المصري نفسه اشتغل عليه كذا جهه يعني لازم وزاره التعليم ووزاره الثقافه والفاينانشال سيكتور والان جي اوز والحاجات بتاعت التنميه المجتمعيه يبتدي يبقى فيه ثقافه عامه للانسان المصري انه يعيد تقديم نفسه للعالم. مش مجالنا ان احنا نقول البرسبشن بتاعنا، يعني احنا في قطاعات اكستريملي ويل برسيفد بره، بس في حته المارشندايز والتجاره دي شويه للاسف البرسبشن بتاعنا مش دايما هايل. فدون كل التفاصيل احنا محتاجين ارجع تاني اقول ان احنا محتاجين نعيد تصحيح الشخص المصري انه مش يعتمد على الشغل من على القشره او المهلوه او الشطاره، لا هو يعتمد على العلم وعلى الكواليتي وعلى يبتدي كريت نفسه براند ايمج كويس. الحقيقه انا يعني عشان ما اجاوبش حاجه ما عنديش 100% نولج عليها، انا مش عارفه البنك اكشلي بيعمل تدريب للمصدرين ولا لا، عشان انا لسه انا جوين ريسنتلي فما بحبش اقول حاجه متاكده منها، بس هو الكروت بروتوكولات اللي البنك ماضيها مع البنك الاوروبي والبنك الافريقي وصندوق تنميه الصادرات وغيرها بيديك الفرصه عن طريق برضه الاستثمار بتاع الادارات اس بيز والريت فاينانس وغيرها عندنا في البنك، بيديك كافه المعلومات اللي المصدر بيبقى محتاجها بالنسبه للاسواق الخارجيه. انما انا متفقه كمان مع حضرتك ان لازم يبقى في فكر ما بتعاون ما مع كذا وزاره ان يبتدي نشتغل على حته ري انتروديوسنج اوتسيلز دوليه، يعني ان احنا نماركت اوتسيلز دوليه ويبقى ده فكر عام للمرحله الجايه كلها، يعني يبقى فكر عام في كل حاجه في المرحله الجايه. ده رايي خالص.
طبعا كلكم اساتذتي انا مش عارف اقرا اسمه.
انا مش عارف ايه التحكيم التركيز على احنا يعني زمان شويه على الموضوع كانت مصر العاليه كده مؤتمر بالذات. مؤتمر بالذات يعتبر هركز على حته الفقر. لان مصر انا بقول اكبر دوله في العالم واحنا بنستورد. احنا بنستورد عندنا شركات مستورده فوق ال 100 جنيه، واي سوبر ماركت بروح الاقي الحاجات الكويسه والنظيفه وعليها براند خليجيه. سيوه مثلا وكثير من الحاجات كل ده مليان فقر. في ثروه فقط المؤسسات بتاعتنا مليانه. كل الهيئات بتاعتنا عايزين نستوي كل الشباب اللي قاعد شغال. أرجو بس إن أول مثال الكيلو ده طب لحد السنة اللي فاتت كان بيستوي ب 4 جنيه من 10. السنة اللي فاتت في السنة شركة إماراتية قعدنا مستنيين قاعدين لحد المجال بشكل كبير جدا وبدأت تعدي الطريق. مش صناعة ضخمة ولا كبيرة جدا ولا عويصة، ثروة عظيمة مش هنعمل حاجة، يعني على الأقل نعمل حاجاتنا ونصدر الدنيا كلها. والبلاد ممكن يعني بسهولة جدا. اليات وتدوري ما كانش عاوز. كان سؤالك عن السؤال اللي عندي انا قاعد حيران وحاطط طلاب انا عايز اخليهم يشتغلوا ويعملوا. كيف يمكن ان نسهل ويسر استخدام ثرواتنا موجوده؟
يعني اؤكد لحضرتك ان في زي ما اشرت بعض القوانين هناك كثير من الانضباط في الفتره الحاليه اللي هي كلها هتساعد الشباب ان شاء الله، هتساعد الشركات في هذا المجال. انا كل اللي كنت بطلبه ان التعليم ايضا يساعد في هذا يعني عشان نكمل المنظومه.
الشيء النقطه انها تشتغل منطوق، يعني المنطلق ده بيمشي. يعني كل واحد شغال ايه؟ يعني الدوله كعقل استراتيجي او يعني كده ده بيمشي وكل شغال في حته جنب. شكرا.
اولا سعيد جدا باللقاء ده الحقيقه على كلام عارف مش مجرد كلمه جدا حضرتك اتفضلت بيها في هذا اللقاء، وعايز استخدم انك انت وجهت اللغه العربيه فيها على اعتبار ان اللغه العربيه ليست من اللغه الرسميه
في نفس الوقت برضه مش قادر قوي يعني، بس انا فهمت
وكل الحضور فانا احيي حضرتك على هذا الاتجاه الحقيقه. والله جميله الحقيقه، وبالتاكيد مرحب بالاستاذه غاده طبعا على منصه مرحب. الزملاء ما شاء الله دخلوا في 4 مداخلات اساسيه، 4 نقاط اساسيه، لكن خليني انا بس اشير الى حاجه جميله انا استمتعت بيها وفي نفس الوقت انا بواكب عليها. حضرتك قلت انا استاذ جامعه وحابب استطاعت رجل الصناعه، وبعدين من رجل الصناعه بعد كده حابب استطاعت استاذ الجامعه. الحقيقه ده مدخل مهم جدا، وهي مدرسه الحقيقه يعني انا اتصور ان ليها دور مهم جدا في نقل المجتمع الى الدوليه او العالميه. ان احنا في الجامعه ما يبقاش استاذ الجامعه بس فقط هو اكاديمي الطراز الاول، وبعدين يبتدي يبقى كل مجال عمله فيما يتعلق بالتنظيم وصناعه المنتجات والى اخره. ده مطلب مهم جدا، لكن ايضا مطلوب ان استاذ الجامعه يبقى فعلا بيكتشف يعني بيمارس، ودي بتعمل فرق كبير جدا لا يستشعره الا فعلا اللي عاشوا تجربتين مع بعض، تجربه اللي هو استاذ جامعه وفي نفس الوقت ممارس ما هو استاذ.
يعني اسمح لي اعرف حضرتك ان 90% مني استاذ جامعه و10% بس هم
استاذ 10% كويس جدا.
بس يعني انا عشت حياتي كلها استاذ جامعه.
طبعا وانا اتصور ان المحاضره 10% دي يعني تثري دور استاذ الجامعه في المحاضره امام الطالب وامام يعني الباحثين بتوعه، وبالتالي بتدي خطوه مهمه جدا تحقق الهدف بتاعنا ان احنا الانتقال الى فكره يعني الدوليه. ايوه وبناء عليه حتى لو حضرتك تفضلت دلوقتي من تجربه الدلتا سبورت فيما يتعلق بالازمه اللي مرت بيها وبعدين رجع تاني، انا اتصور دي تبقى كيس ستادي جميله جدا ممكن تدرس لطلابنا في كورسات معينه، ممكن
هناك تجارب كثيره انا عشتها، انما هناك تجارب كثيره جدا في هذه المجالات.
وده نستخدم تجارب الى داخل الكليه او الجامعه بالتاكيد هيساعدنا في التدوين لخطوه يعني كلنا بنسعى. هروح عند الاستاذه غاده كمان في متعلق ببنك الصادرات. الحقيقه كل ده جميل جدا، انا اتصور وانا الحقيقه ما عنديش معلومات كفايه قد يكون ده بيحصل، بس انا اعرفه ان البنك يجب ان يمتد دوره ليس فقط لمساله يعني تشجيع فقط او تمويل المعاملات التسجيل وخلافه، لكن الى يعني تحفيز وجود صناعات تصديريه. ده مهم، وده لن يتم الا ان البنك يبقى فيه دراسات عن القطاعات الموجوده في المجتمع واي منها ممكن نركز عليه في الوصول الى بعض المنتجات اللي نقدر نصدرها، ونبتدي نطور الدراسات والابحاث اللي ممكن تصل الى هذه.
بس عشان الاطاله لان السياسه اللي بعده شكرا. الكلمه الاخيره بس عشان ما اخدش وقتكم كله مع السيشن الثاني.
استاذ غادة، الدكتور محمد حسين في التجاره جامعه اسوان. احنا دلوقتي اللي يهمني ان انا اسال سؤالين معلش. حضرتك من الاستراتيجيات اللي حضرتك انتوا بنك بتدعم الصادرات ولا بنك تجاري؟ اشتغلوا على الاثنين يعني فرق يعني هو اصلا اتفتح على كليات دعم الصادرات.
ده حقيقي.
هتركزوا فيها
ما هو لازم حضرتك المصدر والشركات المصدره دي ما هم عندهم افراد من ادوات مصرفيه. البنك بجانب دعم الصادرات بيركز برضه على
تركيز كبير على
لا بالعكس، ده احنا ريتيل بانكينج لسه لونش قريب جدا. يعني احنا بيجي التركيز بتاعنا كله على دعم الصادرات والكوربريت بانكينج. ريتيل بانكينج لسه منشأ في البنك.
بس يعني انت تركزوا على الصادرات
هو ده التركيز، هو ده الكور بتاع البنك.
طب كان حاجه ثانيه، البيانات والاحصائيات بتاعه التصدير وحجم التصدير والكلام ده كله اللي هي عندكم؟
طبعا
موجوده عندكم بحيث ان احنا
طبعا. احنا حضرتك الفتره اللي زي ما قلت لحضرتك احنا الفتره الحاليه بنجدد الويب سايت الموقع بتاع البنك كله بنجدده، بس هو يعني قدامه طبعا ده شهر حاجه ده بروجكت كبير جدا. يعني هو بيتجدد بالكامل.
مش شرط البيانات تبقى ورقيه تبقى اي حاجه، المهم كل البيانات
كله متواجد.
هي
كله متواجد.
كله متواجد. دكتور طارق، انا بس اضيف على حضرتك حاجه مهمه جدا في بيئه واحده. التعليم انا رايت مع حضرتك بشكل كامل، بس هقول لك على موقف حاجه بحث انا عملته، ان تاثير التعليم على في بناء ميزه تنافسيه للمنظمات المصريه. ده بحث انا عملته عندنا في اسوان على المدارس الفنيه الصناعيه. للاسف اخذت العينه من 11 مدرسه حوالي 600 طالب. انا بقيس ايه؟ ما بقيس التعليم او بقيس العمليه الفنيه، بقيس مدى ادراكه لاهميه الجوده وقيمه الوقت وقيمه
صفر. يعني نسال الله ان احنا هذا الكونفرنس اتعمل عشان نناقش ونعمل برين ستورمنج على التعليم ازاي نقدر نتطور. ارجو ان انا اكون انا والاستاذه قلنا بعض الجمل النقاط تفيد. اعتذر اولا عن الاطاله، وارجع اكرر شكري لكليه التجاره اللي اتاحت الفرصه دي لينا، واشكر الدكتور رئيس وفريق العمل بتاعه. انا اسف مره ثانيه ان انا خدت وقت السيشن بعد كده. السيشن مع دكتور بروفيسور تابع هيبتدي في نفس القاعه. تسليم والسلامه. شكرا لحضراتكم.
حاجه جميله وعايزين صورنا ينتهوا.
ما تقلقش يا دكتور، هظبطك تصوير.
Now we have a session, slide organization of
of digital marketing, delivered by Professor Deborah Zahi. Professor Zahi is a professor of marketing and entrepreneurship and digital media management chair at 16ابريل USA. She is editor for gender research in interactive marketing and was awarded the outstanding award in 2016. She is also editorial board of journal of the database marketing and marketing strategy management and industrial marketing management. She's co-authored the third edition of the Jami's ethics books, internet marketing, integrating online and offline strategies with Mary Lucas, as well as a second visit for social media marketing. Professor Zahi has had her own consulting firm since 1993. She functions as a trustee advisor to presidents, marketing executives, and company owners, helping them to define their strategy, identify and reach their best customers using data-driven technology applications. Now we have a speech and presentation for Dr. Deborah concerning the internalization of digital marketing.
Well, thank you again. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I'm representing Blacks. I wanted to thank the conference organizers, Cairo University, government of Egypt, to some of the ministers which I met the other day. The welcome has been wonderful. This has been 3 years in the making since I was initially invited, and it's just a thrill to be here. It's been wonderful to be at the conference and to hear about all the wonderful things that are happening in your country and the importance of developing businesses and educating students so that they can create businesses. I do have entrepreneurship in my department. That's something very near and dear to our heart. So I hope that we can have a lively discussion afterwards about how to accomplish all this and the role that digital marketing will play. My agenda today is I would like to tell you a little bit more about me and kind of a personal nature. This is the first time I've been to Egypt. You don't know a lot about me, so I wanted to talk about my personal journey in customer information management. Then I will talk about how marketing concepts and the concept of value creation are really evolving in the context of digital marketing, and some of the research that I've done that is relevant to this area, and then, excuse me, some future research directions. And then we're going to have, I'm sure I raised on yesterday, a very lively Q&A. So in terms of my background, I do teach at a Holy Cross institution, and we are very much involved in the Holy Cross mission, which is social justice, which means educating young people so that they can go out and make their way in the world and contribute to society. And so that has always been a theme of my life. Digital marketing has had such an impact on my students. My students understand that if they take these courses, they can not only have a good job and career, but also contribute back to society. There's a lot of discussion right now about marketing and with some of the things going on with Facebook as to the ethical considerations, and that's a good discussion, but I believe as a whole, marketing contributes more good to society than bad. So that is the background and sort of my ethical background and orientation. In industry, there was a wonderful introduction, which was quite accurate, but I also wanted to tell you that I actually was in industry for 17 years before going back to get my PhD. I worked for companies like Dun & Bradstreet and Verizon Telecommunications for about 17 years. I'm now been a marketing professor for almost 20. You know about my consulting publications. I just retired from as the editor of the Journal of Research and Interactive Marketing. We have applied for an impact factor. The journal had a great deal of growth, which I think shows the growth in this area, particularly internationally, because we have authors and contributors and reviewers from all over the world, and many of them from this region of the world. Another thing that I have done is I believe it's proper to say that I'm an innovator in curriculum design and development in this area. It was, in some sense, self-preservation because there wasn't a lot of material in the area in the beginning. But what we are doing now, we are actually incorporating in our undergraduate classes certification in different industry platforms. And so part of the theme of my talk is about these big platform companies that are just becoming prevalent and upon which we practice digital marketing. And so we need to teach our students these platforms. And so in our courses, students are certified in Google AdWords, Analytics, Salesforce, HubSpot for their inbound marketing, and other platforms as well. And we are also launching a Master of Science in Digital Marketing and Analytics. And I just found out yesterday we have a 4-year undergraduate degree, so you can actually take this course with Dr. Deborah and her colleagues because we require a 4-year undergraduate degree for master's degree. And here we are also going to be partnering with industry, and students will get training in Marketo as well, a marketing automation tool. So I just wanted to kind of give some of that background and also to talk about my personal journey before I talked about my research and where we should go in the future. Because I think it's quite interesting what has happened with customer information management along my journey. I wanted to study customer information management or data management in my PhD program. And so let me just tell you kind of how I got started. I actually did not have an undergraduate degree or a master's degree even in marketing. I went to the best marketing school in the world, at Kellogg at Northwestern University, and I studied information systems. So I started out my life as actually a computer scientist and systems analyst. So that's how I got to be on this kind of leading edge of digital marketing, putting marketing and technology together. So I thought, in my naive way, as a 20-something person, that if I knew something about the computer, I would always be able to find a job. And wasn't that true? Because the computer has grown, the computer industry has grown, and that has led to the development of digital marketing. So I then went into industry. I worked for Grad in Verizon Telecommunications, building databases, creating IMC programs. And then I wanted to know what is the relationship between ultimate firm performance and customer data management. And I went everywhere, I went to conferences, I asked people, what is the relationship? And no one could really tell me. And I finally decided, well, if I was going to find the answer to this question, I was going to have to do it myself. I was going to have to go and get a PhD. But it wasn't an easy decision. The world has been changing so rapidly in terms of the terminology that we use in this area. I have been in this area for a long time. I keep saying I keep doing the same thing, but they keep changing the terminology. So first, it was database marketing. That was originally what I did, and I was actually published in the Journal of Database Marketing. This same journal then rebranded itself to the Journal of Database Marketing and Customer Strategy Management. We published in that too. And now everybody's talking about data analytics. I published in that journal too. This is the same journal that rebranded itself twice during this period. And I have kept doing the same thing, which is studying customer information. But it's wonderful to see how it has evolved and how most people now realize that customer information is important and that we need to focus on analytics, which is just making intelligent decisions out of the data that we have available. So as I started on this journey through this, to find out the answer to the ultimate question of the relationship between customer information management and firm performance, I reflected upon it for this talk. I realized that it was really quite like the hero's journey. So if we think about our own lives, storytelling is very big in marketing right now. So think about your own life and how you are embarked upon some effort. You can look back and see that it might fit into the hero's framework. There are a number of stories that just resonate throughout all cultures and all walks of life. And so one of them is boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. One of them is the hero's journey. So the hero is typically called an adventure, has some kind of struggle, often requires a mentor to help them, and then completes their task and then returns to society. So my college adventure, and again, you can see that I'm using some popular culture themes here. So my college adventure was really to find out the answer to what is the ultimate relationship between customer information management and firm performance. But I wasn't able to find anything, as I said. So I searched and searched. We knew that customer information was a great success. There were performance things about customer information management. And I organized studies like there are now in academia that show the relationship. But of course, I didn't want to do it. I was a successful business person. Why should I give up my life, go back and get a PhD? And so at first I said, no, I'm not going to do this, forget it. And then, as in with many heroes, I had supernatural aides or mentors to help me along. So Dr. Pitts at College University and the faculty there helped me realize that I could do this. And so I applied to the University of Illinois for my PhD and began my quest. And I had to throw in something of an Egyptian nature here. So there are many famous quests in mythology. One of them is the whole quest for the Holy Grail. This is Isis and her son. She had a famous quest to find her husband and then to get her son upon him to continue his life. And so I started my quest in a similar manner, not as dramatic as this one, but a similar manner. And my quest was to find that ultimate relationship. I did a lot of research in the area. But like all heroes, I had to undergo a trial or an ordeal. So if there are any PhD students in the audience, it's not easy. It looks nice now that I have all these publications, but it was not easy in the beginning. Nobody seemed to understand the importance of customer information management, and so I had to kind of explain that. I had to find my voice and figure out how to talk about this to people in order to be published, but it worked. So there are many articles in customer information management, most notably at the end of the stream of research on customer data quality. And also, I've done a lot of research in the role of the executive. I would have to say I characterize myself as a business-to-business and strategy researcher. So I'm always looking at how can executives do these things and how to make their life easier. I've also done some work in new product development and innovation, and then recently got involved in branding and strategy because of the impact of the internet and digital marketing on those fields. A little bit of marketing pedagogy also, because I do use technology in teaching, and sometimes papers just naturally flow from that. So all heroes come back and they get a boon, and my boon was, as when I was introduced, was writing textbooks. So actually, internet marketing is in the 4th edition. This is now online also, so you can actually access it anywhere in the world. And that was something that was really important to me because I actually do have quite a few connections on LinkedIn and quite a few colleagues from this area of the world. And so I wanted to be able for this book to be used everywhere. I also authored an MBA practitioner book and the social media marketing text, which I have recently found out is being translated into Vietnamese and Chinese. So again, to get that, one of the things in my talk is that we are actually more similar in terms of marketing than we are different. Internationalization, and I think you can see this from the popularity of these titles and other titles like them across the world. Right? A lot of people have read the articles, and then like all heroes, I completed my quest, I answered my question, which I'll give you the answer in a minute, and I returned home peacefully. But you know that Odysseus, at the end of the Odyssey, he's sitting there with Penelope in front of the fire, and there's a gleam in his eye, and he thinks, well, when's the next great adventure going to come? So, in a sense, I returned to the marketing world. I was editor of a successful journal, which under my care really became more successful, and we applied for an impact factor, and all these good things that happened. And like all heroes, I think, where does my next adventure come? So I really feel like my hero's tale is beginning. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my research in customer information management, and then something about the more recent research, and then tie it together with and how we can all work together to, in this area to improve the lives of managers and their customers. So this brings me to my topic of the digitization of everything. We have talked about this for the last 2 days in our session, the smartphones, smart houses, right? I look out in the audience and I think I could be in the United States. You're all glued to your cell phone. If you were in my class, you would have to take that and put that away while we were talking. But it's okay, you're not in my class, so feel free to use your device and tweet and communicate with each other as you like. But everything is becoming connected and over these large platforms, particularly social media platforms. So it makes us think about what is marketing really. Now, at my school, we are all very similar in terms of having a devotion to digital marketing. We have it in all of our classes, and all our professors do teach it. And we think of it as an interactive process whereby the firm creates value for a customer and kind of captures value for itself. And if you're not for profit, if you're capturing value in terms of not in terms of firm profitability, but other things. So we think of marketing as that value creation process. It's a pretty traditional way to think of it, except we say interaction instead of exchange to recognize the fact that we are communicating back and forth with our customers. But the reality is that rules of value creation have really changed and are changing, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about today. And they're changing because of digital technology. Initially, we think about delivering value in terms of inimitable resources. What are the things that can't be imitated? This is the resource-based view of the firm, upon which much of my work is based. So one of the things that the resource-based view says is that the reason that you get a sustainable advantage from customer information is that it's hard to replicate the learning that you get from that about your customers. So it's the learning that creates a sustainable advantage and that creates loyal customers. So we are moving from a world away from physical assets to intangible assets. And in that context, marketing has to distinguish itself by the use of these intangible assets. And I think that's why digital marketing has become so prevalent and so successful, because of what these technologies allow us to learn about our customers, our suppliers, our employees, our competitors, and everything we see. And so what is happening is that these intangible assets are now our economy. And this is from a research paper on the platform economies. So if we look on the top of the chart, the big bubble is the asset-heavy companies. So we can think of them as Samsung or company Johnson Controls, Daimler, or the other car companies. They're heavily into physical assets in order to be profitable. Mixed might include Apple and Amazon. Asset-like companies, think of Uber or Airbnb. They really don't own anything physically, but they've been incredibly successful, high valuations by the stock market. We're hoping Uber will. At least I know all my students are waiting to see when Uber is going to go public. So we're getting really high valuations based on intangible assets. So in a way, when I look at what's happening in the digital economy, I feel like my whole research career is coming together because everything is focused now on these intangible assets. And I had been studying this since from 1998 to 2013 was the bulk of the research on customer information management. A number of studies, 10 years of research, 400 companies, B2B and B2C, both qualitative and quantitative methodologies. And I will talk about some of those papers, and then I will really focus on the newer research. So the initial research was on the customer information system, the ability to get, store, move, and use information throughout the organization. And we created a 30-item scale by which people can measure how well they are doing in terms of managing customer information. Remember, the goal was to link that to ultimate firm performance. And there was a link to ultimate firm performance. But the reason that I think many researchers have missed this before is that the customer-based performance mediates that link between customer information systems and business growth. So customer-based performance are things like retention and share of wallet and things like that, the things that we measure in marketing systems. So if we didn't have those things, then we wouldn't be able to understand how to create ultimate business growth. So there's definitely a mediation there. And the other thing is that you have to have a really good strategy. If you look at the importance weights in the structural equation model, the importance of strategic excellence, having a good strategy, is twice that of having a good customer information system, or more than twice. So ultimately, the reason I like doing strategy work is it all comes back to the marketing executive and their role and the head of the company. The other thing that came out loud and clear through all of these studies was the importance of data quality. So this paper was won as paper in 2013 in the Journal of Interactive Marketing, not my journal, but the other major journal. And it talked about the importance of data quality in terms of, again, ultimate customer performance and ultimate business performance, because that really turned out to be the missing link. As I went through the results of some of the studies, I thought there was something missing, and this is what it was. So in that study, we really went in and looked at organizational culture, and it turns out having a mission and vision that's shared through the company and comes from the top-down executive in these data, which were US data, that has a strong effect on data quality. You wouldn't think that, really. What effect does the top executive have on data quality? When I was in sales and selling information systems, my customers were always in the basement. The people that were doing data quality, they were always in the basement. And the CEO is way on the top floor. But yet, if that mission and vision isn't shared, you're not going to get good quality data, which is so important in these systems. And then the CEO or the top executive also helps facilitate cross-functional cooperation and the integration of marketing and IT. So that is how we can develop good quality systems that lead to customer performance and business performance. And today, if we fast forward to what's been happening in the area of digital marketing, we find that large platform companies are really dominating. So we have Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and then Tencent, Oracle, and Intel and SAP in the top 10. So if you're in the marketing area, you're working with these large platform companies. And this has been quite a shift. Some of them are not US based, many of them are, but there's large networks, particularly in China, that marketers are working on. And it's not just public companies, but private companies, like Uber and Airbnb that I mentioned. So these are sort of dominating the digital marketing landscape. And this is really bringing us all together. That's why I was talking about the internationalization of digital marketing. We are being brought together by our customers using these platforms and then communicating with our customers on these platforms as well. And that is why in our program, we have our students certified as best we can in some of these major platforms. Because those are the skills that are going to be necessary. So if, for example, even in the accounting world, SAP has a program whereby they will come in and certify your students. So even in the accounting world, you can get certified in one of the major platforms. In our program, we do Google AdWords and analytics, as I said. We teach them Salesforce, Facebook, Trailheads. We are trying to give them the skills. We're still teaching theory, but we're giving them the skills that they need to get a job in marketing. So what makes Apple in particular a platform company? What is a platform company? Apple connects app developers with app users. So in the 90s, the top 5 manufacturers of phones and smartphones were 90% of global profits. But by 2015, Apple itself constituted 90% of global profits in the phone industry. So how did they do that? They created this platform. So they are the owner of the platform. The providers of the apps are the producers, and the consumers are the buyers or users, and the interfaces on the platform are the various different types of cell phones. So that's one example of how a platform might work. So you have the Google also owns Android, So they've got a bit of a vertical integration going there and a control over that whole platform as well. So then you think, oh, well, marketing is changing, the value creation process is changing. So it's going from an interactive process whereby the firm creates value for the customers, whereby the firm creates value for this whole network ecosystem and therefore creates value for itself. So marketing's getting, a little more complicated, right? The social media platforms particularly rank very highly in terms of the global platforms. And so we are now finding ourselves as marketers working and communicating with our customers over a platform that we ourselves do not own, right? So we have to figure out how to do this. There was a great talk about the Facebook data and giving Mark Zuckerberg testifying factors. Because that data, we put that data, we like things, we interact, and that does not belong to us, and it can be sold to other companies. But it also doesn't belong to the marketer. The marketer has to figure out how to do that. So we find companies engaging on social media, but then trying to draw their customers back to their own website to capture that information so that they can then manage those customer relationships. The other thing that's happening is that these platforms have become so dominant and so commonly accepted that they're having a big impact on other industries. This chart shows in the United States alone, the share of U.S. digital ad revenues by the duopoly. The duopoly is Facebook and Google. So it means almost 70% of all ad revenues are now concentrated with Facebook and Google. Now, in the United States, we have the trust busting. We had the trust busting activity in the 19th century because some of the companies got too large. And it makes you wonder, is this something that we really want to continue? Do we want to have companies this large having so much influence over the marketing and advertising? But it also means that as we primarily interact with our customers on social media, that now marketing has changed again. It's an interactive process, but it's really an interactive process of co-creation. Because now our customers are telling us what our brand is all about, right? So I'd say now marketing is an interactive process of co-creation along this network ecosystem. And I wonder sometimes, wouldn't it be great to be a marketer today? Because I know I'm a consultant, but I'm no longer practicing marketing. And sometimes I think, oh my goodness, I wouldn't want to be a marketer today because of the complexities of all these relationships. There are just many trends that converge, and they open up the space for digital marketing and connection. There was the technologies I'm talking about. Marketing thought we wanted to communicate with our customers, we didn't want to be mass advertisers. The distribution to be able to send things directly to a customer, and just general communications theory in terms of interaction. So all this opened up the space for interactive marketing and digital marketing. And I told you at the beginning how these terms have changed. So database marketing to interactive marketing, now to digital marketing. For years, when I taught marketing and direct response marketing, I said that what we are trying to do is attract, acquire, and retain customers. Attract, acquire, retain. Those are the things that we talk about. Now we talk about engagement and increasingly about co-creation. So in my mind, digital marketing encompasses engagement. There's still really no accepted definition of digital marketing, but most of them tend toward engagement. So in the direct world where I started was customer response. The internet was focused on the technology. Interactive marketing was focused on the conversation. Digital marketing has been focused on engagement. And now we're moving more into co-creation. So I don't know, maybe we need another term other than digital marketing, right? Every time we've gone another level, we have another terminology. I just say that digital marketing itself is using digital technology to facilitate marketing process. And the end goal is to facilitate that customer interaction and engagement. And I want to distinguish digital marketing from digital media because I have a digital media major in my department. But those people are focused on content creation and video production, things like that. It's much more specific. And digital marketing is the whole process of facilitating marketing, which in turn we know is value creation. But what's really interesting, in my mind, is that marketing concepts, because of the fact we're all connected and primarily on these social platforms, marketing concepts are now crossing borders. I saw this little graphic somebody must have gotten yesterday on their slides as well, but it really shows all the countries. And as I read journal articles in my capacity as editor, as I read them, I just resigned last December, I saw that there were increasingly similarities among customers, no matter what region of the world we're talking about. And I really think that the rise of the millennial and the fact that we're all talking about the same things and these products platforms, that we are coming to the point where we have a world customer. We should start thinking about and researching that. We were talking about that in the session yesterday, right? There's a world customer out there. There are more similarities and differences. Yes, there are always going to be cultural differences. We can't design a web page for one country in a language where they don't speak that language. Colors are different. You can really offend people by using certain colors in certain countries. I know all of them, and you know all of them. But what's really interesting is the fact that there are actually more similarities. And if you read the information in the studies, that where people are saying, oh, we're just studying Egypt, we find that those can be generalizable. Those results can be generalizable. And I guess if I had any advice to researchers seeking, to publish in a North American or European journal, don't put Egypt in the title. Okay, just say whatever it is, customer relationship management or the characteristics of people on the website. Don't put Egypt in there because customers are becoming general, and it's really becoming a world customer. And how I really found this out was that I started working on a project with Middle Eastern data. The great thing about being a full professor is people come to you and say, can you help me with my paper? And if I like the paper, I say yes. And they said, we are having trouble getting this published. How can we get this published? And I said, well, really, if you look at it, the paper was about how people on social media networks wanted to be involved in co-creating brand meaning. And I said, it really doesn't have anything to do with your particular country. The data was collected there, but the results are very generalizable. So take that out. We took that out, we created a general framework, and then the paper did get published. So that's the one thing I would say. I'm seeing more similarities than differences in terms of research. It seems like everybody wants to be connected. As I said, I look out in the audience, and everybody wants to be connected all the time, right? And also we've had the growth of the millennial mindset, I call it, or the millennial customer. These are the people that grew up with technology. They talk about the same things all over the world. They're very similar, and I think that going forward, it's going to be even more similar and more of that one customer mindset. So this brings me to talking a little bit about some of my more recent research, because I think this is having this millennial customer and the fact that it's a world customer is having a huge impact on branding as well. Because look, now remember those top platform companies from a few slides ago? They are now taking over in terms of branding. So this is the Interbrand report on the top international brands. Most of them, or many of the top 10, are platform companies. So here's our Google, here's our Apple, here's our Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon. Here they are, the top brands, and they've done this. They're creating these platforms that everybody uses with these intangible assets and less related to physical assets. So that really means that we have to reimagine branding, and particularly in the B2B marketplace. This was a position paper that was published a few years ago with Schultz and Kumar. And we looked at what's going on and found that business-to-business companies, instead of relying heavily on the sales force, are now relying heavily on content and lead nurturing SunGard had a campaign for cloud computing that actually had a kind of a droll sense of humor to it. Zombies were very, very big a few years ago, and so they said how to survive a zombie attack require you should move your data to the cloud. And they had a very good open rate and download rate and increased their business that way. Demand-based is an educational campaign, and they, for content technology, and that netted 1 million in new business. And so as people are now coming, business to business are coming to websites and looking at webinars, downloading white papers, and doing all sorts of things before they even see the salesperson. So that brand story now, we talk about branding, it really becomes content marketing. And that content then can be disseminated across these channels. So you can still use your own website, email, video, etc., but you're going to be producing a lot of content for those social media platforms. And those social media platforms that can disseminate that brand story. So branding and social media are very much related. The other thing that's what I would say is search and strategy are very much related. You have to now really define your business now, so people can use the keywords that will help you find your business. But in the social media marketing industry, there was a recent report that said over half of B2B marketers acquiring business partnerships through social media. I'm going to just give you an example because I am I'm also teaching digital marketing, and I have students now doing, as we speak, live AdWords campaigns for companies that pay them money to run the campaign. And similar to the Google Online Marketing Challenge, except we're doing it for real companies. And how I found these companies was I joined a local social media platform for small businesses and started connecting with people, and I got to lead people through that. Normally, what I have done in the past is just do a lot of in-person networking, and I still do that, but I find that people are very open to social media, connecting on social media. Then I wanted to bring in a search engine specialist. I haven't done this project since I've been in Texas. I didn't know someone to bring in, so I went on my LinkedIn, and I have the Sales Navigator, which gives me a little bit more information. And so I went on LinkedIn, I did a search. I found somebody in Austin who worked for Yeti Coolers, who was a specialist in search, and she came into my class last week. Never met her until she showed up in class. So this is what B2B marketers are doing. They're developing their partnerships the same way. They're getting industry insight through social media. And most of the buying process begins with a search engine, just like we do. You go to, you want to find a new restaurant in Cairo because you've never been there before. What do? You look on your phone. Right? The business-to-business people do the same thing. So the traditional B2B purchase journey, we think of it as awareness, consideration, purchase, post-purchase. Excuse me. And then creating customer loyalty. Now what happens? People conduct research online, they do searches, they look at industry forums, they go on social media platforms, they compare vendors, and then they decide to contact the salesperson. Now, I was in B2B sales, I was a technical person, and I went into B2B sales and marketing. And when I was in sales, I would walk into the office and they would say, Deborah, sit down, tell us what's new, what's happening in the industry. Now, the salesperson can't even get an appointment, right? So this is how it has all been changing. And this is true everywhere I work. So, because I see the Egyptian people nodding at me. So really how B2B customers find and process information in our interactive digital age, they usually start with a search, and then go to social media platforms. They might go to the big platforms, but they also might go to something related to specifically to their industry. Because we are seeing some of these little niche platforms, like the one I used recently popping up. They look at content, they look at webinars, other industry sources, white papers. They also go to experts in the field, trade associations, and then only do they contact the salesperson. When this research was done a few years ago, they said, suggested that 57% of the buying process took place before the first interaction with the vendor. Now we think it's about 70%. So what is the effect then on branding of digital technology? It means less of an emphasis on the sales force and more on using digital technology. It means less emphasis on the sales funnel and more on lead nurturing processes. That's why one of the reasons we're teaching our students Marketo. It means less information of emphasis on that traditional buying center, because yes, there are people making the decision in a company, but there are also networked other purchasing agents all over the world. So they're getting information from their network. So more of an emphasis on the network. The decision process was more considered, but now with the fast technology that people have implemented, it becomes much more accelerated. And when people put out an RFP, they know exactly what they want. Oh, I think this is a good bit. The sale, or we're going backwards. The content used to be ordered by the company and then distributed through the sales force. Now it's provided by the vendor freely. Instead of a considered process, it's more accelerated, as I said. And I'm going backwards again. That's fine. Let's make something that I didn't talk about. We have brand awareness being built by the sales force. And so the sales force by search and the internet. Brand relationships are no longer managed necessarily. We look at the network of relationships. We have a product base. Instead of being product-based, most products have products and service combined. The selling proposition in terms of branding, I think branding will still be important, but we're going to be focused on the value that we can provide on that network. And the buyer process must include seller engagement. And that really brings us to one of the managerial challenges in this area, which is the challenge of actually engagement and co-creation. So what do we do as managers? As I said, sometimes I think it would be great to be a manager today, a marketing manager or director, and sometimes I think it would just be terrible because of all the relationships we have to manage. So recently we did a project on crowdsourcing. This is not crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is when you go to, you want to be a video star and you go and raise $5,000 for this. You're not doing that. Crowdsourcing is where you're taking ideas from your customers, not just your customers, but anybody who might want to contribute, and using this in the new product development process. So we looked at this. I performed this research with Azure and C, and we looked at this data and interviewed managers to see what are some of the challenges of doing this, particularly in the fuzzy front end. And we found that executives wanted to use crowdsourcing in the new product development process, but were a little skeptical of it. So crowdsourcing was really viewed more supplemental to traditional marketing research. Managers are still clinging to traditional marketing research, and there were some really good reasons for that. Sometimes it didn't have a formal process for crowdsourcing and for evaluating those ideas. And think about it, if you're getting many thousands of ideas over the social media networks, how do you evaluate them and pick through them? So people still wanted to use their lead users, and their really good customers were getting ideas. And the other thing that happened was there was a lack of alignment between the budget and project deadlines. So if a really great crowdsourced idea came up in January, but your fiscal year had started last July, then you can't really address that and fund that. So there are some practical implications as well. There's sometimes a lack of clear responsibility as to who is responsible for sorting through all this data, no efficient method to evaluate the ideas, and then overall, managers did not trust the crowdsourced ideas. They still liked the ideas that came from within the company. So we want to, we're now studying the different types different types of methods of getting ideas in a fuzzy front end and comparing more traditional market research ideas to those of crowdsourcing and seeing what comes up. So I want to do this. Everything I've tried to do in my research has been to try to help managers make decisions more effectively. So if it turns out that you're going to get just as good a set of ideas by looking at social media, maybe managers will consider that and trust that a little bit. The other thing that I'm working on is just the whole idea of how do we teach digital marketing? It's such a challenge. So we've done some research recently, and we have looked across different companies or universities in the US and Canada, and seeing what really makes a difference to those who really focus on digital marketing in their curriculum and those who don't. It was often the smaller schools like mine that can be more nimble, that react more quickly, that focused on it. And also the difference was the dean and having support from the dean. Most of the respondents said that their dean did not understand digital marketing. Didn't really know what it was. And when I presented this research in detail at a conference last year, people said, oh yes, I knew it was the dean. I always knew it was the dean that was responsible for this effort. So it didn't matter so much the department chair, because the dean holds the purse strings and can provide the funding. So this is another thing that I'm very interested in studying, and I've started teaching other people to teach digital marketing, because we need more people to do this. So we go to various conferences and teach this as well. Because digital marketing is important. It's developed in conjunction with this platform that is network economy. I started out studying customer information. I had no idea where this was going at the time, but I think it's quite clear now that value is co-created and depends on these intangible assets, like customer information and information about all our other partners on that platform. That there are a lot of opportunities that exist for engagement with all stakeholders. There's a lot of challenges. Managers are really struggling with how to implement these types of and programs. So the next step, I think, is that research must really reflect these trends. I think we need to look at customer brand evaluation through digital media platforms. I also think, as we were talking about yesterday, we need to focus on that world customer as well. What distinguishes the customer that we are interacting with on these social media platforms, what distinguishes them and makes them more alike than different across cultures and across countries. Because we are moving from engagement to co-creation, and we need to figure out how to do that effectively. We need to focus on content marketing strategies and firm performance, because people who are doing content marketing, they sometimes don't know the ROI of that. Like if I were doing it all over again and going to do a big study for my PhD, I would do content marketing. What is the relationship between content marketing and ultimate firm performance? But I don't leave that to some aspiring doctoral students to do, because that's just not on my agenda right now. We're really working on the crowdsourcing and some other ideas. So the other thing is looking at how to create that marketing department. How should it be structured, given that we have this new technology? Should we structure it across platforms? You know, we have a traditional product focus. Is that right? The woman that came in from Yeti Coolers that spoke to my class the other day, she said that they still have a separate digital department and a marketing department. And it was really fuzzy when she described what they were doing. So what is the best way to structure a company in this new digital world for ultimate firm performance? And then something that I'm working on, which is how to effectively manage that co-creation process, and how to trust the wisdom of the crowd. So with that, I would like to open it up for questions. This is my contact information. Now, of course, I'm a digital marketing person, and you can reach me on many forms of social media. But my major ones for professional use are Twitter, so I'm at Zayhay. I use my maiden name for publishing for a lot of things. And I also am very much on LinkedIn. I have over 5,000 connections on LinkedIn. I am an open networker. And so if you connect with me on LinkedIn and you say professor or student in your title, and you have nice profiles, which means you have a good picture, and you know somebody that I know, I will probably connect with you. This is my personal email as well as my work email. Don't call me at the conference because I don't have very good coverage here. I have to fix that when I get back from traveling internationally. I haven't gone international in a few years, and I didn't have very good coverage the week before I came. So, you know, feel free to connect on LinkedIn. I have all that through the Wi-Fi, so you can do that. It was very wonderful to be here. Egypt has been terrific, and I really enjoyed my first visit so far, and I look forward to our conversation after. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this presentation. Exactly on the topic, the of marketing. Before open the question floor, the same some comments what I will not give us some insights about it.
Thank you very much, Yasser, and thank you for being here as well. Yasser is just like Deborah, having very strong two hats, academic hat and professional hat, and Dr. Deborah as well. And I claim myself to be like that. Okay, actually, there are so many comments in my mind. I will try to sum up because you've raised so many points, so wonderful and creative. But I will try to mention some of the points that might not be so clear to everyone. One of the great points you made, let me start like you start. I'm a marketing session. I have a own marketing session. I'm a marketing session academic, and I'm also a great interest in information systems. And they all tell the same story, that our business is information. We have information about customers or about our stakeholders, people that matters to us. This is of great value when we make our decisions to reflect on our performance and other things. So this is the story, this is the idea I'm hammering all my life. The same like this little Yasser, at least he used to be an information system guy. You started this research in a way that's unique. You told us about yourself. And this is an idea that I really shared with Arabic on the internet. What we do is not science. What we do is our interpretation of science. So there's no digital marketing. There's different digital marketing. And where is digital marketing? And Amir is digital marketing. So it's our interpretation. And this leaves us with three wonderful research rules for this academic conference. One, there's no one digital marketing, so we are admitting our knowledge is limited. So we're leaving the floor open and we're very tolerant to even advance ideas. And we must go on, we must allow any new addition to this knowledge all the time. So actually this is a wonderful point, and the same is happening in products and service today. This is not an action product, it's how I relate to myself to make it an action product or not. So this research is very much related to the person who has done this research. What is his background? What is his vegetable science? Where is he coming from? What is his culture? What is his philosophy? Do research. This is very important. It tells us a lot about this research. Though we say that we have a methodology that is so rigorous and we all follow the same way, no, it's very much the person also. The second point concerning digital marketing is that we do agree with this strongly, that we originally have a business agenda, a marketing agenda, that we have had for a very long time. But that new technologies, since telemarketing, through marketing through the telephone, have achieved our marketing objectives and our agenda at an unprecedented scale. In terms of differentiation, it's about differentiation, focus, marketing ROI, the value equation, depth of place and depth of time. This gives us a great tool to achieve our objectives, and we must keep this in mind because the technology changes very fast. Right? What we're doing now with our smartphones was totally unthinkable a few years ago. So actually, we should keep this in mind so that we make sense of our technological intervention in the marketing area. We are not swallowed by the technology, and we do technology for the sake of following technology and looking model. But it's very important that we appreciate what digital marketing, who knows in the next 5 years what digital marketing will be called. We should change the name, telemarketing, electronic marketing, digital marketing, depending on how we transfer whatever we used to do with hands into a paperless wireless. And paperless wireless here makes use of calcium oil. The main end is to really solve problems and seize opportunities and create a competitive advantage worldwide. So this is the agenda. You're talking about co-creation. Last year at that same stage, you had Professor Richard Abuti. Yes, he was co-supervising the thesis with Dr. Amir and Dr. Abu Zaitan examiner, and he was talking about the journey inside customers' minds through neurological marketing research for co-creation. And here again is another kind of digitalization. So it's not only the internet or the social media. The important, I guess, challenge that you also to my attention is the fact that it's very important that when we are dealing with digital marketing, have a faith in what this technology can do. I say it as a joke in Arabic and English. I say to manage you need an iman. Iman in English is electronic man. And iman in Arabic means faith. You have to have faith in the technology. So this was a great point when you said that you have a team who loves digital technology. They have loves digital marketing very much. So we have no problem with them. Yeah, but this is very important. Top management orientation to what you can do with digital marketing. Mentioned is the branding. I mentioned the branding is becoming a real challenge with such highly accessible marketing. Actually, when you are digital marketing, you are internationalized by definition. And if you are not taking care, you're not putting this into consideration, you are running a great danger for damaging yourself, even with your local customers, if you're local. The last point, actually, that you mentioned, yes, I agree with you on the one customer concept, and we discussed this last time yesterday with Dr. Thabit. But yes, it might be very helpful for publication, but I don't mention Egyptian evidence. But as I did with Dr. Amir, several papers, that we have to show inside the paper why this data we collected from the States, from Egypt, from Malaysia, why this data either provides a new answer to globally asked research questions, or how it, which is even more valuable, how we can pose new questions. Yes, it's digital marketing is a great area for research. The last point that you mentioned was actually we should ask ourselves every now and then regularly how we should teach digital marketing. You cannot teach digital marketing in a way that's not digital, and how much more importantly we research digital marketing and advanced knowledge. So thank you very much. These are some of the points. I can't mention all the points on the stage until midnight, but these are wonderful points, and these are very much enlightening and impressive.
Thank you, Troy, for your points. Now, question on floor.
No, it's the translator will have it.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And just one point. We as a B2B market student was striking to know that the majority of B2B customers in the United States use social media as a source of information. Can you elaborate a little bit more on this? Thank you.
I'd be happy to. I did want to follow up on what Professor Gordon said about having just Egyptian data or United States data. I think why have we always thought that because it's United States data, they don't have to justify it? Yeah, you have to justify it in any case. Yeah, I thought it was a great point. So elaborate on the use of social media in business to business. By business to business firms, is that what you, or customers? Yes?
Yes. Dr. we would like to ask why B2B is not a big field of B2B marketing from Pennsylvania State University. And I always tell my students that the volume of B2B business on the internet is much, much greater than we think it is. Of course, we see the C side because we are seeing, but the B2B and the internet, I guess, that we correct me if I'm wrong, was mainly pushed forward for B2B, not for B2C.
Yeah, we estimate about 8% of the traffic is actually B2B. from email. So the people are on social media platforms. The big platforms are also on platforms that are specific to their industry as well. For the chemical industry in the United States, for example. And they're also using this to share information. They might be on a LinkedIn group or a Facebook group. I'm on some Facebook groups for my profession that we're always sharing information about teaching. So I think that you find people using both either private platforms or public platforms. In our crowdsourcing research, we thought it was mostly private platforms. Because they were social networks, but they were private because companies didn't want to let their proprietary information out. So they might be on a company's private network, all different types of networks. Does that answer your question?
Dr. Ahmed, can I ask you a question here? I guess you got your PhD on the buying center inside the B2B. Does this change the concept of the buying center? You remember how much you suffered to identify your orders, to identify the buying center here in the Egyptian company. Does this change the buying center, the decision-making unit inside the B2B?
Yeah, of course. Right now, I think we need to reconsider some of our concepts, especially in the market sector.
This is our next decision.
Good research project.
We have your agenda.
If you need to take a question from the back, I can wait for you.
Yeah, okay.
I want to ask about value creation process. As we know, values created is not equal. This is not. How digital marketing equal this?
Value creation is not equal?
Yes. Values created in all is not equal in all processes. Right? So how can digital marketing equal this with equal values in the end?
The value creation process, you say, is different.
Yes.
It's different in stages or different in impact.
Yeah, I mean, it is impact.
It is impact,
Yes.
So she's talking about if I go, for example, to a hotel website, and you go to the hotel website, yes, we go through the same stage of value creation, but your impact of this on you that you make this hotel your favorite, and I say, no, I will never stay in this hotel for different reasons. So the value creation process, when done through the digital marketing concept, doesn't produce different value.
I have it now. So yes, I think this goes to the whole idea of the one-to-one marketing concept and personalization and customization, which I've also studied. But way back when I went Rogers and Peppers came out with a book on marketing. I went to a conference and got it signed and everything. They were talking about when people call up on the telephone, the regular telephone number, giving them a personalized response. Now I think we can do the value creation equation on a one-to-one basis. I think that's really, I didn't talk about that only in 45 minutes, but I think that's really how it's happening. The fact that now we can identify somebody real time over the internet and give them right to the customer service representative that might be the exact person for them, and then work with them to create that relationship, it's becoming much more individualized. Very good question, thank you.
Before Dr. Ali makes his comment, Deborah said at the end of her that if you know somebody that I know, this makes it easy for you to reply. So Dr. Ali can mediate and take a permission for that. Yeah, well, this is the example. If Dr. Ali wouldn't know you, wouldn't have the pleasure of having you here.
Well, because I don't know a lot of people in the Middle East.
So you're creating business.
So I see that people know somebody that I know.
You're creating business. This is great. We don't mind.
Dr. Deborah, a couple of days ago, I heard an expert speaking about legislation coming in May with the GDPR legislation about data protection. I don't know much about the legislation. How can such legislation affect the way we are doing, how we are working now in digital marketing? I'm sure you heard the Congresswoman and men questioning Zuckerberg, and what actually one of them was saying is what we call the backbones of the data collection practices. Are these legislation really going to limit or kind of put a cap on what we are doing now, and how will this affect not only the normal social practices of consumers, but how we use data to serve the consumer and co-create value together as marketeers? I'm sorry.
That's a good question.
Yeah. How can brands, companies tackle this to reduce consumer skepticism? It's not just what public policy can do, it's what marketeers can do as well. Thank you.
Well, I knew somebody was going to ask that question, so that's a good question. Also, yes. And I only have the 45 minutes, so I love to have data privacy and security protection. Dr. Ryan apologies, so I'm very much in this area. And I always keep on trying to get on top of it in my classes. I think we can see what happened in the European Union because they have much more data protection than we do. And so it really limits what marketers can do. In the United States, because they have the new data privacy laws, only the big companies can really afford to comply. So they're actually Google and Facebook competing data centers over in Europe. And it's going to be harder and harder for smaller companies to comply. And I think the same thing will be true with any legislation in the United States. So I remember the Marketing Edge Association for Educators, and we're associated with DMA. They do a lot of lobbying in this regard. I think that we haven't been proactive enough in explaining what we do so that customers aren't skeptical, because it seems like, as I do surveys in my classes and talk about the different relationships with privacy, it seems like over the years, people are more accepting of the fact that their data is being used. But then every once in a while, there'll be a data breach or something like what's happening with Facebook, and it'll really bring it to the fore. People will become very concerned. What I think should happen is that we should all own our information. We should charge the companies. Why not? We're talking about intangible assets, right? And these companies are making money off of our information. So I think if we have a system like that, then there would be a fair exchange of value, and that would be a better way to handle it. Other than that, in my opinion, in the United States, the legislators certainly understand. They're trying. That's not their area of expertise. So they're legislating things about the same thing here, but they really don't understand. We want, America's based on the free flow of information. Somebody showed I think we probably showed Adam Smith.
Yeah.
And that was at the time that America was founded. And the business of America is business, and we have no privacy protection whatsoever. It's based on free flow of information. Yeah, so I mean, this is the basis of our economy, and so we have to continue to have that free flow of information. But I don't think there's more questions than answers.
You want to ask Professor Jackson for show that?
Oh, there you are. Yes, thank you, Adam.
There you go.
Thanks, Professor Debra, for your presentation. I'm here. My question is about supply chain. The introduction of supply chain has created many challenges for different areas like accounting, information systems, and strategy. So, what's the impact of supply chain if we are talking about the marketing, and especially digital marketing? And the second point, do you think that power positions between supply chain partners can have impact on marketing practices and supply chain context?
I can only remember the first part about
and the first part, whether the introduction of supply chain has also impact on the marketing practices.
Yes, absolutely. And I think in our textbook we talk about the value ecosystem. all these connected platforms. So yes, it's no longer just the supply chain, absolutely. What was the second part?
The our position to be supply chain partners and whether it makes any like impact on the market trends.
Our position, so you mean,
The be supply chain partners, but
The negotiating power of the different parties over the supply chain, right?
okay. You know, I have to say, and this is a good question, but it's not really my area of expertise. Don't really research in the supply chain, but I would have to say that in general, people who use these ecosystems and these platforms are going to have more power in the supply chain. I think that what's going to differentiate people is going to be the effective use of these technologies.
Dr. Sobri, don't you want to ask a question about there is the market on C2C? Dr. Sobri is very interested in research, published in a very good financial place. Oh, C2C. No, I'm intimidating him.
Thank you for the nice presentation. Actually, I was wondering about brand construction. Like I was thinking about the sharing economy things, Uber and Kareem and taxi driver, and we have lots of things going on these days. Do you have a specific case in the United States about brand construction instead of branding co-creation? The dark side of branding.
Well, brand co-creation or co-construction?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think all the platforms that we've talked about, you know, Uber and Airbnb, they couldn't really exist without having everybody participating in the platform. And so all the partners have helped create that brand. And the brand was, what else they spent on brand advertising? Probably nothing. Or very little. And now they look at where they are in terms of the platform, that's what they can right up into the brand, right? So the other thing is Apple. Another example, I don't know about you, but all my students in the States use Apple, everything. They're very loyal. They wouldn't consider buying anything other than a smartphone. I wouldn't consider paying $900 for a phone. They don't mind. And they buy the Apple TV and the iPad. And they really feel invested in that brand. And they really
Actually, I have to comment here. Since you studied at Northwestern, Professor Carter was here for the fourth time in May 2012. And he says that digital marketing will be used for co-creation or co-production for brand purposes, makes your customers your fans. And then you can make your marketing budget zero. Yeah, so actually, yes, it goes from engagement to co-creation as you properly. Did you find that? Please.
Professor Thabit, thank you for your presentation first. I have two questions, maybe one for Professor. We have any idea about digital marketing in Egypt, percentage-wise, total cross-trade in Egypt, exactly?
Yes, it's you, Michelle.
Meaning futures.
Not the futures, reason. I'm not talking about the futures. You have exactly figure about digital marketing in Egypt.
Sure, it's a specific field or
whatever.
On the research agenda of the academic life? Business. Of course, most of the manufacturers starting to develop their supply chain based on the digitality, and starting to prepare for platform in this regard, especially the automotive business to manufacturing in the next 5 years, and starting to make the link between the local agent here and the mother company, and starting to set up some infrastructure to make to create the value in the production process to secure the quality of the product. We have agenda in the automotive business from my background for Kenya develop some platform, special platform for the manufacturer here to be linked directly with the PM mother company.
But we don't have figures, we don't have percentage, we don't have figures.
No, it's individual cases.
We don't have. So this Professor Tابع, we talk about Amazon, and of course there's Alibaba. And maybe 1 year ago, our President Sisi announced about Egypt, talking about e-commerce and digital marketing. And I think we're going to start on 1st of July this year. The question is, if we're talking about Amazon, Egypt, in their mind, Egypt product, in their mind, yes or no?
Egypt what, sorry?
فامازون منتجات المصريه في دماغهم ان هم بيسوقوها.
Some of the Egyptian products are on Amazon, but not enough.
Okay, the problem is unknown. We don't know because, as you said, there is misstep. So this week, if you want to make digital marketing in Egypt successful, we have to change the rule. We have to change. The question is, if your customer don't know how you get more customers.
We should do what Dr. Deborah mentioned so many times. We should rethink our customers.
So are you saying that Amazon, there are very few Egyptian products on Amazon? Yes, I agree. We should rethink that. See, because
The same way Alibaba. You know, of course, you know.
Right. So I guess there would be two ways to go. You could develop your own platform, or you could jump on these widely used platforms. Because we were actually wondering, my guest and I, whether we wanted to order something, we wondered if we could order in Egypt.
Amazon needs to know indicator of success that the owner of the Amazon is the richest man in the world in the Fortune magazine.
Yes.
The richest man in the world.
But I think, my point of view, we should start stage first. The EDI, Exchange Data International. It should be first to be linked with digital marketing and e-commerce.
Amazon in the US is well over 50% of all e-commerce for human consumer. Thank you very much.
We'd like to thank Professor Tابع for this discussion. Thank you, and this is close to this. Thank you.
Mike, listen. Mike.